I think that the legacy car manufacturers are better at making cars than Tesla is. So it's really going to be like, do people stick with Tesla as like the Apple of cars, where it's just you pay extra for a shittier thing because it has a brand? All right, Chad, I want to show you this. Elon Musk to workers: spend 40 hours in the office or else. In emails to workers at SpaceX and Tesla, Mr. Musk said they were required to spend a minimum of 40 hours a week in the office. Actual tyrant. Actual moron. Elon Musk is demanding that his workers return to his office. Mr. Musk, the world's richest man, sent a pair of similar memos on Thursday to push his employees at SpaceX and Tesla to spend time in the office. Told workers that they were required to spend a minimum of 40 hours in the office per week, and those who did not do so would be fired. The more senior you are, the more visible must be your presence, Mr. Musk said. That is why I spent so much time at the factory, that those on the line could see me working alongside them. If I had not done that, SpaceX would have long ago have gone bankrupt. This is so fucking embarrassing. Anyone who wishes to do remote work must be in the office for a minimum of 40 hours per week. Then you're not doing remote work! I'm not going to be... 40 hours is a full time! If there are particularly exceptional contributors for whom this is impossible, I will review and approve those exceptions directly. This is how you know capitalism is not about productivity. Capitalism is about subservience. Capitalism is not about economic development or any of the other shit they try to claim. It's about social role. And there isn't a word about here about productivity. Imagine I was someone who, at the office, I produce 1 widget an hour, but at home, I produce 2 widgets in an hour. A rational boss would want me to work from home. That's not what this is about. It's about you've got to come in because I say so.
Tech workers, this is your CEO and founder and guru, if you so choose. It's time to come back to the office now. Yes, studies have shown working from home has actually increased your productivity. But you see, I was a lonely adolescent, and I did not start this company to be neglected of the attention I now deserve. You see, as workers, you are irreplaceable to witnessing me being a maverick founder and CEO in our open office floor plan. Who is going to write my biography if there are none to tell of my unorthodox, some would say genius ways, as I meander through our open office floor plan? Come back to the office. We got kombucha on tap. It's beautiful. Look at it. Just come back. Why work at home and be near your loved ones when you could be near those who catalyze and inspire you? It's time to get back into the office now. I'm nothing without you.
Imagine how much stronger all the other EV companies will get when they hire off Tesla's old employees, as long as they're not fitting panel gaps. It's also about giving companies an excuse for real estate investment. Ooh, good point. Every time a competitor mentions return to the office, our recruiters reach out to their people. We've hired 15 plus of their engineers in the last 2 months. So easy. 30 hours a week is literally the most productive in both white and blue collar jobs from multiple studies, I believe, early 20th century. Well, no shit. Whenever I had a 40-hour a week job, I would go in and bullshit literally almost till lunch. Then I'd start working on a project. You know, I'd meander around. I'd waste time. I'd maybe look at my email. I would catch up on the news. I would bullshit. I would fuck off. Then I would start working because, you know, people, the bosses do the same shit. And so I would start to work at like 10:30, so that when they peaked, if a boss came by, I'd be hard at work. And then I'd go out to lunch, take my time, bring back food. That's the other hack is if you have your own office, if you bring food back, you can put it on your desk for like 3 hours. Anytime between 11 and 1. You can have food on your desk, and if somebody comes in and you're kind of like fucking off, you can just reach over for a fry or reach over for a fork of salad or whatever, or you could pick up your soda and take a sip. And nobody could be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" You're like, "Well, I'm eating my lunch. I'm taking my lunch hour," and it doesn't have to be fixed. I would never sit there and go 9 a.m. productivity all the way to my lunch, eat lunch quickly, and then till the end of the day. That's not possible. This is literally not possible, in my opinion. I don't think it's humanly possible to constantly have your brain at 100% without going nuts. I'm a STEM graduate student. This is extremely relevant content. This is extremely relevant life advice. Bro, the engineers at our office started listening to background music sounds while working because the office is so distracting. They eventually banned using Wi-Fi for watching videos. Oh, fuck off. We watched that already, SP Lucci. It's possible, and I am broken. Yeah, you are broken. When I was manager at Academy, I literally finished all my work before lunch period, and I still had to stay there for more hours. I would just pretend to work the rest of the day or talk with coworkers. So true. I have my stream on my corporate laptop most mornings. Yeah, no shit! The CAD person at my partner's office is taking a 2-week vacation. They can't operate without a CAD person. The president has brought in their 21-year-old niece who took one CAD class that they didn't complete and switched to English major. The person has no idea what they're doing. Apparently doesn't take direction at all. Oh, no. Well, just take it easy for 2 weeks, I guess. So, GM slashes the prices of the Chevy Bolt electric vehicle despite rising commodity costs. General Motors on Wednesday slashed the price of its 2023 Chevrolet Bolt EV, likely making it the least expensive electric vehicle on sale in the U.S. The Detroit automaker cut the price of the Bolt by $5,900 and of the larger Bolt EUV by $6,300. These reductions come as automakers, especially pure EV companies, hike prices on their electric vehicle. So why are they doing this, I wonder? How much is it? $26,595. Wow, that's cheap. Does the Bolt suck? They're going to stop making it soon. New battery platform is ramping up. The government rebate ran out? Or did it completely ran out? There's like tiers of it. Market adjustment at dealers still going to make the 40K? Once a company sells enough of a model, the rebate no longer applies. No, it's if they sell EVs, period. What do you think of the Rivian truck? Looks like what Elon really wanted the Cybertruck to get. I heard Rivian is fucked. It's a good basic cars, no bells and whistles. Why the fuck would I want bells and whistles? They're known to catch on fire if you charge too much. I think that's basically any lithium ion. The Bolt is all right. Its biggest problem is that it's a cheap car that it gets compared to. I mean, 26,000 is cheap for a new car. My friend picked me up from the airport at a Tesla the other day. I swear the displays in those things should be illegal. No knobs or buttons or dials. Everything on a super distracting touchscreen. How do you touchscreen? Like this, I hate touchscreen driving. Because your finger moves around as you're driving. So if you have to hit something, what, do you miss? The car, you're bouncing along on American shit roads, and then you fucking touch the screen and you miss, and you push the wrong button? Then you have to be like, wait, what did I hit? And you have to look back over? Sounds terrible. I want buttons, goddammit. Give me some buttons when I'm driving in a car. Tactile buttons. If I'm going to use a goddamn clicky keyboard, I want some goddamn buttons on my car. When I'm sitting on my ass on my computer at home, and I have a cherry switches, I want a goddamn buttons on my computer or on my laptop. My car. God damn it. Vice President Harris announces the U.S. Department of Education cancel all remaining federal student loans for borrowers who attended Corinthian colleges. I got excited for a second. Corinthian colleges, huh? Those were just a scam. I thought everybody knew that. Tesla is just an electric Honda with a huge iPad in the middle. True. All pricing includes a mandatory $995 destination charge. All right, this is what GM is hyping. Listen, I'm trying to get some hopium up in
battery
here.
From General Motors, the largest American auto manufacturer, is going all in on EVs.
General Motors, we believe in an all-electric future. We're working to a goal where we have zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion.
GM CEO Mary Barra believes the company will dominate the U.S. market.
We're going to be #1 mid-decade in EVs in the U.S.
And this is the battery technology that is going to take it there.
It starts with a single cell that we can use as a brick that we can build all these different vehicles with. And that Ultium cell then will go into a Hummer, a Lyric, or any other vehicle that we dream up in a very quick fashion.
GM plans to invest $35 billion in electric and autonomous vehicles by 2025. It plans to have manufacturing capacity for 1 million EVs and is scheduled to launch more than 30 electric vehicles globally over that same time period. Many will utilize the new platform.
The whole company, we intend to have all light-duty vehicles be EVs by 2035.
GM is also building a commercial EV business under the BrightDrop brand name. It has begun delivering vehicles to FedEx and has signed a contract with Walmart. But it is hard to find a car maker of any significant size that is not working on an electric vehicle, and there are countless startups all around the world. So what makes GM's Ultium platform technology different?
We've got the right partners with our 3 factories making these cells with LG. And now we're going to make the world's best brick to make the world's best
sorry,
vehicles.
These captions suck, chat.
CNBC went inside GM's battery lab to see how it is different from what Tesla and other EV battery makers are doing, and how GM plans to become a major player in the EV market.
FedEx is going electric, but the United States Postal Service isn't. That's what happens when you don't fire Louis DeJoy. It's if the United States Postal Service doesn't go electric under a Democratic president, that's fucking funny. I don't even know. It doesn't even make me mad. I used to think EV was just hype until I read a FT article the other day that clearly showed how much incredibly more automatable production of EVs compared to ICE is. They will use this to expel thousands of workers from the production process. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that gives a compelling capital reason, right? Like, if you can produce vehicles with less labor input, that's like Welschian right there. That's a desire of any capitalist, is increased productivity. Like, of course they're going to do that. EVs have existed since the beginning. Yeah.
What we have here is a lithium-ion battery. And this is our large format lithium-ion battery that powers all of these vehicles.
Tim Grew is the General Director of Electrification Strategy and Cell Engineering at General Motors. GM unveiled its Ultium platform in March of 2020. It is a whole new architecture for electric...
I can just say, like, I think that the legacy car manufacturers are better at making cars than Tesla is. So it's really going to be like, do people stick with Tesla as like the Apple of cars, where it's just you pay extra for a shittier thing because it has a brand? Like and for me, I have no desire to do that. Now with Apple, I think that started to change with iPods and the iPhone. I think the iPhone is just becoming a good value for what it is. Like they're starting to compete more on price. They still have somewhat of a small premium, but it's not as much as it used to be. They are better at mass production for sure, and they're catching up on software and battery tech. Tesla wasted its lead since it couldn't scale fast enough, which was always the thing that I thought was going to happen. And like, I got to be honest, I never really got that excited about Teslas. People won't stick with Tesla. Already all my tech coworkers hate Tesla. Taycan is the new hotness. With the Porsche, the only cool Tesla is the Model X, and it's because of the Falcon doors. Yeah. I mean, like, Apple has good build quality on their devices, and they're good at manufacturing. That's true. Like, one of the things I really like about Apple products is, like, they feel good. They feel good, which is very, very important.
Vehicles. It encompasses new battery designs, new motors, platforms, and even new software for electric vehicles.
We're at what we call the Estes Development Center, where basically we bring all the ingredients for Ultium together, and we make sure that they work properly together and as individual components.
GM partnered with the battery cell manufacturing giant LG Energy Solutions to develop the Ultium battery. The partnership is opening 3 battery factories across the United States between 2022 and 2024. One in Ohio, one in Tennessee, and one in Michigan.
For the first time, we've got a single Ultium cell that can be the foundational brick to build all of these vehicles together. And with that, we're scaling it.
GM has already teased, unveiled, announced, or begun producing several fully electric vehicles using the Ultium
This is all very
platform.
good for UAW,
the GMC
though.
Hummer pickup and Hummer SUV, the Cadillac Lyriq premium SUV and Celestiq sedan, the Chevrolet Silverado EV full-size.
So, like, I think that's definitely an advantage. Like, the thing about, like, Ford and GM, whether or not you like those brands, they've been unionized largely since the 30s, whereas, like, foreign manufacturers, Tesla, they aren't typically in their American models. So, like, I'm rooting for GM and Ford, not because I like the company per se, but I'm rooting for UAW because that's a unionized workforce, and that's good for the left. And UAW has always leaned a little bit more left than other major American unions. The industrial unions have always done that. One thing I hate about new cars, everything relies on the electrics, even the fucking handbrake with a button press. It's good to have new tech, but it should work if it's all switched off for safety's sake. Oh, of course.
Size pickup truck, the Chevrolet Blazer, and a fully electric version of the Corvette. Battery technology is complex, but a battery generates electricity through a chemical reaction. A battery is made up of an anode, a cathode, a mix of chemicals that separates the anode and cathode, and an electrolyte. When the battery is discharging, i.e. generating electricity, ions move from the anode end to the cathode end. When charging, ions move in the opposite direction.
The positive and the negative have these nice, I call them parking garages, right, where you can store the lithium. When it's all the way charged, they're all parked in the negative side. We call it the anode. When they discharge, they go and they park in the positive side. And then the separator basically makes the traffic lane so that all happens very uniformly and can last the life of the vehicle.
There are several things that make the Ultium platform different.
Poggers.
It is, say some industry analysts, the first large-scale use of a new battery chemistry. The new chemistry considerably reduces the content of some very expensive and tough-to-source materials. EV batteries often use chemistries that rely on cobalt, often in combination with nickel, manganese, or other elements. Tesla, for example, has been known to use a combination of nickel, cobalt, and aluminum in many of its cars. However, it has recently been trying to move toward cobalt-free battery designs. GM's partnership with LG Energy Solutions has developed a different chemistry. It reduces the cobalt by 70%. This nickel, manganese, cobalt,
and there's a good reason to do that because cobalt is, of course, sourced from the Congo, and it looks like China is doing a good job at increasing their share of total cobalt production, and the U.S., hasn't. There was a case in Germany where the train company could not take the 3 trains they ordered because the emergency brake took too long.
Aluminum is one of the primary factors that will drive Ultium battery pack costs below $100 per kilowatt hour. That is a threshold the entire industry is trying to hit to make EVs cost competitive with internal combustion cars. GM has also taken the unusual step of developing a new battery management system that manages the battery at a more granular level than others. Most battery management systems, including Tesla's, work at the pack level. GM's system manages the battery at the level of individual modules. This will allow GM to replace parts of a battery pack bit by bit over time if needed.
Oh, that's so important because right now, typically what happens when you lose a battery is a cell goes bad. So you lose this entire pack because of one cell. And this is what so much good for repairability and longevity. This is actually good.
Rather than replacing the whole pack at once. It also means GM doesn't need to stock old battery parts. Newer battery technology can be put into an Ultium pack alongside older technology, and the pack will still function.
Your cell phone has a pouch battery in it, or your tablet has a pouch battery in it, but they're obviously not automotive batteries. And so what we do with our approach is we say, well, we make it more robust, we add more insulation, we make sure it can last the life of the vehicle in our pouches.
The idea of a pouch design is not unique to GM, but GM says there are aspects of its design that are proprietary.
It's generic, but how we make it is very unique.
Cells are tightly packed side by side, which reduces the space between them. That allows for more energy capacity. The design is flexible and can accommodate cells of other shapes. GM's vehicles in China don't use the long cell design seen in the US. They instead use something called a prismatic can, a shorter, wider box.
So this is an example of a prismatic can. It's got the same electrode in it as the actual, flat stacked one here. You simply wind it up inside of it.
China is the world's largest EV market. GM sold 2.9 million vehicles in China in 2021. Sales of new plug-in hybrids and electrics, collectively called New Energy Vehicles or NEVs in China, rose considerably. Its Buick Velite NEV family doubled sales year over year.
You think about just China alone, 15-20% of the world's market, they're going to be almost entirely electric in the next 5 years of their 2025 plan. In China, GM...
So China's going to be completely electric cars in 5 years? Just a country that's run 1,000% better.
Sells more electric cars than Tesla.
Cell modules can be stacked vertically or horizontally as the vehicle design requires. They can be double stacked to include up to 24 modules in a truck, for example.
President Xi, liberate us, please. Or there could just be one single
layer of modules in a sports car.
This is basically a Lyric pack that you see right in front of you. So it's got all the structure integrated into it so that it can be part of the vehicle. And there's 12 of those modules in here to meet the Lyric's needs. Now you can imagine if you have an Equinox, it'll be less than 12 and it'll just be a shorter pack.
An Ultium battery pack can provide up to 450 miles of range on a charge at a quarter of the weight and about 40% of the cost of GM's previous battery designs.
Well, unless you're part of the wrong minority. Yeah, unlike in the US, where if you're part of the minorities, you're doing well. Everything's A-okay. You know, the U.S. is known for its good minority relations, and obviously we're a fully equitable society. That's good. It's good.
Miles on a single charge would place among the longest range vehicles available in the United States. Only the Lucid Air Dream Edition outpaces it with an estimated 520 miles.
520?
The Tesla Model S has a 405-mile range.
Around 2008, we said people really want an EV, and we made the Volt Extended Range EV, where it's a very capable 50-mile EV. 2016, we came out with the Bolt EV, which was a 238-mile EV. The Volt Extended Range made it possible. The Bolt EV in 2016 made it practical. You could use the car, and now with things like the Hummer and the Lyriq, it's preferred.
If GM's Ultium battery pack does have a per kilowatt hour cost of less than $100, that would put it in territory competitors have not been able to reach.
That's still the target that everybody's trying to get to, is under $100 per kilowatt hour. Tesla's been under $100 a kilowatt hour at the cell level for a while now, because they use those cylindrical cells and they're cheaper to make. But the way they make their pack is more complex, so that offsets some of that savings on the cell.
These batteries will all be powering Ultium Drive electric motors, which GM unveiled in September 2021. The first vehicle the system will be featured on.
Obviously, like, hyper-nationalism is a major problem in China, but it's, like, funny coming from an American. You know what I mean? Like, the hyper-nationalism of a rising country like China is obviously, like, a problem with it, and it's certainly riding a tiger for the Chinese government to promote such instincts. But the United States of America, I mean, like, come on, man. Like, we're going to criticize hyper-nationalism? Really? The home of ultra-nationalism? Like, Jesus.
One is the GMC Hummer. General Motors was the first automaker to make a serious attempt at a mass-market EV. Its EV1 was only available for lease in limited numbers in the late 1990s. Its first fully electric vehicle after that was the Chevrolet Bolt, first introduced for the 2017 Model E.
People want to bring up, see, the thing is, like, whenever you talk about China, people want to bring up something they heard bad about China, because whether they know it or not, deep in their hearts, they have this buried nationalism and pride. And we all have it. We all love who we are, right? That's healthy. It's healthy to love it's healthy to love your homeland or something like that. But it becomes obnoxious when we're like, China says they're going to have 100% EVs by 2025. I just covered, yesterday or the day before, Norway already has 90% EVs right now this year. Did everybody bring up something bad about Norway? Oh, Mike, did you know Norway sells oil from the North Sea? It's like, yeah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about their incredibly intelligent policy that we can emulate. You don't have to, not like Uyghurs, to build high-speed rail. That's not a fucking, you don't have to sell oil from the North Sea in order to mandate electric vehicles. Hasan, after 30 minutes at a Tesla.
Do you know where we can charge this thing? Yeah. You don't know? The battery it's like dropping like this car is dog shit. They agree. They're Tesla owners and they agree.
I don't know.
Do you know where we can?
Well, to be honest, you are driving an electric vehicle in Austin. That's a huge L.
Year. But like all automakers, it has been largely overshadowed and outsold in the US EV market by industry leader Tesla. With Ultium, the company is trying to take the lead again.
They obviously don't get anywhere remotely close to anything in the same stratosphere as Tesla in terms of their business, but they've got to show that their EV business really works. They haven't yet.
Some industry experts are skeptical that GM's Ultium technology is in any way ahead of the curve. Munro & Associates is a manufacturing consultancy that is known in the auto industry for its teardowns and analyses of electric vehicles and battery packs.
Ooh, interesting.
We are tasked with investigating every EV that is being manufactured that is leading in the world.
Steuben said Munro & Associates has not been able to yet tear down an Ultium-based vehicle. They are basing their opinions on what GM is saying about the Ultium.
So what I noticed from right off the bat here is these are DC pins here. So this is a ultra fast charging right there. And this is like the thing is like Tesla has their own type of plug, which is a much smaller form factor. This is what every other EV manufacturer is using. So when you see these DC pins right here, this is like ultra fast charging.
And what the firm has found in
that's pretty
other
good
research and teardowns.
My broad impression of the Ultium platform is that it's a really good idea, but it's 5 to 7 years too late. Many of the virtues that they're extolling in their marketing campaigns, particularly with the form factors of the cell, the energy density, the reduction of wiring, the layout and configuration of the motors, are already being done if you study the market. We can draw parallels in the battery to VW ID4. I can't draw very many parallels to the Tesla because the form factor and chemistry is different.
Take battery chemistry, for example. While GM's battery chemistry has reduced cobalt content,
eliminating cobalt altogether from the battery portfolio is something that many manufacturers have done.
Tesla is using cobalt-free lithium iron phosphate cells in its Chinese models.
In everything that I read on GM's strategy, they're primarily sticking to that, I think, nickel, manganese, cobalt, aluminum chemistry, which does have some advantages, but still having some cobalt. I want to see elimination of cobalt in some of their chemistry choices.
That said, there are some features that are notable.
The fact that they're designing everything from scratch for this thing, it's all purpose built for EVs is a good thing. It gives them the opportunity to really optimize all of the systems for an EV. That's probably, in theory at least, it should help them.
GM says the next generation of Ultium will offer twice the energy density at 60% of the cost.
We've made announcements about our lithium metal technology, which is much higher energy density, very capable to make it happen. And that's the true entrepreneur, really going to change the world type stuff.
As with many other battery technologies, there are many companies working on lithium metal batteries. Ford, BMW, Volkswagen, and others are investing in them. Perhaps the true test of Ultium cells will come once people start getting behind the wheel.
I think the Cadillac Lyriq is really going to be our first real look at
what we need is a regulation on charging ports. We need to sit down and just have the government mandate charging ports. This reminds me of when railroads were starting, and every railroad had a different fucking gauge. You don't need it, which is the width of the track. Fuck your stupid proprietary gauge. Sit down, say this is the gauge we're running on, and make that the rule. Say the plug. Make this the fucking plug. Or at least like force people to have that system. Like it's so stupid.
True possibilities are with the Ultium platform.
The Cadillac Lyriq will be GM's first crossover to market with Ultium cells and will come in a size and shape that will more closely resemble the crossovers and SUVs customers are buying. With a starting price of around $60,000, the Lyriq increases GM's chances of being profitable on each vehicle. It also positions GM to directly challenge leaders like Tesla. Another top-selling segment where GM is securing a toehold is the full-size pickup truck. This is the best-selling segment overall in America, and one dominated by American manufacturers, especially Ford and GM.
Ford and GM were both really surprised by the demand when they announced their electric pickup trucks.
GM unveiled the Chevrolet Silverado EV at CES in January 2020.
I gotta say, I like the Lightning better. I don't like this, why are they doing this with the grill? This is something I've seen with a lot of electric cars where they have these like plastic grills. Just give me a normal grill. Why do you have this tab grill? Make a better grill. I know you want to have air pass over stuff to cool it down. You need to cool the pack. You have radiators in there. Make the aero better. I know, I get it. But if you cared about aero, you wouldn't have this shape. This shape is so blocky. Do something different. I don't like it.
Me too. In late April, the company said it already had over 140,000 reservations for the truck.
We're seeing a real shift from the market towards EVs. A lot of customer pull.
I feel like for me, the number you would really want for range is 400 miles. Like that's a good range. That's a road trip. Once you drive that amount of distance, okay, you're definitely going to want to brake. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to want to take a stop for a meal or something. Like, that's the range. And, you know, 200 miles, that feels a little bit tight. Like, you know, and you know, I want to be able to, like, forget to charge my car and not be fucked for one day. You know what I mean?
For EVs. And that's caught a lot of manufacturers by surprise, and so they're scrambling now to figure out, you know, how do they get enough materials to build all the batteries for what they perceive as the demand. For
never owned a car, never going to own one? That seems
the
fine.
Next big challenge for everybody.
750 miles is easily doable in one day if you want to be a freak and not stop. Like, I feel like you would stop at least once. Like, when you're doing a road trip, you stop and you go to a diner. While you're at the diner, you throw it in the, you know, the parking lot has a charger in it. Bam. You'll be able to fast charge. We know you use a private jet for faster than 200 miles. Stop lying. Okay, dude. Okay, dude. I just want to do more hopium and more hype. You know what I mean, chat? I just want to have more hopium. Are you watching the stream unsubbed? You're making income inequality worse. You are doing anti-praxis. We are the only Twitch stream that will not accept scam advertisers, and I will never fuck you over by selling you crap.